This 2018 Foretravel IH-45 is arguably the nicest Foretravel IH-45 in existence. This is a one-owner coach that was the Foretravel show coach back in 2018, and it's still owned by the original owner. It's got just over 31,000 miles on it, and the owner of this coach just bought a brand new Prevost Emerald luxury coach. So we found a great opportunity for someone that's looking for a pristine Foretravel IH-45. Not only has this coach been stored indoors its entire life, but the interior design on this coach is the nicest Foretravel interior design we've ever seen. It was way ahead of its time, and we're even seeing a lot of design cues that have just started to pop up in the brand new 2026 $3 million motor coaches. So today I'm really excited to show you around this 2018 Foretravel IH-45. Now this coach is currently inside, but when we pull it outside, this exterior color scheme really pops with the red, blue, silver. There's heavy metallics. You've got the fine white pinstripes here on the bottom. And this blue is a little more muted here when it's inside, but it really pops in the sunlight. And right now we've got the awnings out. You've got RGB lighting that glows below the coach. You'll also notice lighting around the windows here and lighting on these large awning rails. And you might get a little sneak preview of some of the interior design cues if we look inside of this window here, and I can just see how clean and bright the colors are. It is like brand new inside of this coach. Now in a moment, we're gonna pull this coach outside and take a look through the bays. We're gonna take a full tour of the interior, but we're always looking for the nicest coaches in the world. And usually we only are making videos for dealers out there. But when I got in contact with the owner of this coach, we were willing to work with them because this is such a special coach. And they did originally have it on RV Trader for, I believe, $560,000, but he's willing to let this go for $499,000. So to get this nice of a coach with this low of miles, one owner garage kept, is a rare opportunity. But let's pull this coach outside and take a tour. This coach is loaded with safety equipment. As we go around, you're gonna notice stuff like the Bendix blind spot monitors. This does have the Tyron tire bands. You're gonna see a Protang fire suppression system in the engine bay and generator bays. It's got the emergency egress door. This does have 2025 date codes on the Michelin tires, so fresh Michelin tires. And here in the entryway, you'll notice everything's in excellent condition. We've got the key code entry and a doorbell for our entry door. This does have the executive steps, same type of steps like we see in the $2.8 million Newell coaches. And one of the things I really like about the IH-45 is they have these lights here below the slide room, and this is going to be on all of the slide rooms. You'll also notice lighting here on the awning rails as well. That will really light up your patio in the evening. And this coach is going to have the HWH slide rooms. You notice it's got the rounded edge, and the paint job even goes below here too, so you can actually see that stripe flowing through the bottom of the slide room as well. Just a lot of details Foretravel did on this coach that you're not going to see in other, production motorhomes. You'll start to see, exposed screws on the slide rooms. That's not the case here on this Foretravel IH. Now, before we go into the bays, I want to show you one thing Foretravel did with the entertainment bay I really like. They brought the entertainment area up here to free up that bay space. And we've got two little buttons right here. And then this door will open, and there's a pin that holds this TV into place, and you really feel that Foretravel quality when we pull this out. And then it's got a little pull-out pin. When you release that, you can actually swivel this around. So depending on where your outdoor furniture is set up, You can adjust that Samsung TV. And if you look back here, you can see you've got Pioneer speakers, and everything is very clean, robust, the way Foretravel builds it. Then you'll notice frameless windows while we go around the coach. But let's take a quick look at these basement bays. I'm really excited to show you guys the interior of this coach. This is just way ahead of its time. So the first bay here is going to have access for your fuel tank and then some storage below. This does have a 200-gallon diesel fuel tank, and you can fill that up on both sides. Coming into bay 2, we've got the Norcold pull-out cooler on a manual slide tray. Nice convenient spot for that. And then bay 3 is going to be a full pass-through bay. Now there's no slide tray here, so we gain a little extra height. And I really like the way that they, carpet the chassis rails, but then here you can see that extra beefiness on the chassis. Here we've got another full pass-through bay with a power slide tray. You can see the Foretravel owner's manuals, and this is unit 6642. So I think one of the last 12 or so IH-45s, and we've got that original, the large Foretravel mat right here, but then maybe if you're at a campground that you just need a smaller mat for a little bit, we've got 2 Foretravel motor coach mats that do come with the coach. And here we can see some extra, parts and pieces, an extra fuel filter here, really telling the story of an owner that has taken care of their coach. They are in the equestrian world, and everything I've seen around here is spotless. You can really tell a story of someone that really cares for their stuff. Here's some of the central vac components housed in this plastic tub here. And then we've got a pneumatic air hose here. There is an onboard air compressor. There's a couple spots you can plug this air hose into air up the tires. There's one in the front and one in the rear of the coach. And then these carpets right here, I believe these are factory. There's one for the front of the coach and then one for the back bathroom there. Now in this bay, I've got the TV out right now, so you probably want to watch your head if you have the TV out and you're going into this bay. But this is going to house the Dirt Devil central vac system. A lot of the control modules, the big inverters are back there. You can see the Aqua Hot on the other side. Now this has the Tyron tire bands. We've talked about it before, where Foretravel's spending a lot of money on the safety equipment, and this is the toolkit for those tire bands if you do need to change your tires. Now it does have 2025 date codes on the Michelin tires, so having those fresh tires and the Tyron tire bands really add a lot of value. And then the owner was telling us one other thing. He brought the awning controls here from outside into this bay, and that was one of the issues that he had, was the awning control wasn't working from the inside there. So I'll show you what he did. He brought this switch out right here and then wired it right into the control module. So this works here, and then we also have a remote as well. But when this was wired up front, it was not working. So there was an issue with the wire, but now that it's hardwired in here, no issues, and you still can use the remote. So this owner's just, it's nice to know the story of these coaches, because any coach you have, there's gonna be something like that. And I appreciate the owner being fully transparent here, telling us everything about this coach. So we've got the Carefree remote here, and I'm gonna press one button, retract all awnings. And I think that's about the smoothest we've ever had an awning button react. We ran a lot of awnings in and out, and a lot of times one awning will kind of stick, but these are definitely going in sync right now. And let's just run this without any cuts, just so folks can see and see that, it does take a few seconds for these awnings to come in, but they're not binding at all. They're not making any weird noises. And those, when they do come all the way out, I mean, that's huge patio awning space. Those awnings alone, I've heard, are tens of thousands of dollars for each awning. So a huge expense there. And now those are all the way put in, and we'll press one button and extend them out. And then these do have wind sensors, so if it did get a little bit windy out here, those would retract. But if you needed to park even a car underneath here, or motorcycles, a really nice, huge under awning patio area. Coming back into this bay, this is gonna be where the holding tanks are housed. We have a manifold system here, so if you do have a leak and need to shut off one section of the coach, you can do that and then still use the rest of your water system. And this does have a 135-gallon freshwater tank and a 145-gallon gray-black combined waste holding tank. So huge holding tank capacities if you do want to do some dry camping. Does have a 12.5 kW generator. So if you needed to go off grid, you could take a lot of showers with that 143-gallon freshwater tank. And here we've got an emergency egress door. Very important option, not only in case of an emergency, but also just for loading and unloading stuff into the rear of the coach. This can really come in handy. And I've just got to compliment the smoothness of these slide rooms and the way the paint job flows through the side of the slide room and the rear emergency egress door. This coach has such a great look to it. Now coming around to the back of the coach, this does have a 20,000-pound towing capacity. It's got the Cummins ISX with 600 horsepower, and I call these kind of barn-style doors that will open up sideways. Here you can see your Protang fire suppression system. You know, that's a significant cost to that fire suppression system, but could really save you down the line somewhere. And I like that Foretravel puts that extra cost into little safety features like that. And then when we close this all up, it's just an amazing looking rear end here. And I like the way they brought that bright blue paint through the mesh grille back there, and it's just a striking appearance on the exterior. I remember we always enjoyed washing these Foretravels. These are a very high quality paint job. And we're gonna go inside in just a moment. I think you guys are gonna really be impressed, but check out how big this bedroom slide room is back here. You've got a huge rear slide room and then more of those Bendix blind spot monitors around the coach. Now here we'll take a quick look at the plumbing bay. It's got that brushed aluminum face. You've got your power 50 amp shore cord with a power cord reel, and then your city water connection is also on a power reel. You've got a little outside faucet to wash your hands. You can monitor your tank levels out here as well as your power. There's some outlets here, and then your black and gray dump valves. And another thing that really impresses me on this IH-45 is the quality of those bay doors. When you open and close these bay doors, you know, it's a much higher level than the production motorhomes out there, much more robust build. Here we've got the AquaHot 600D. You can see the current owner has the proper fluids for servicing this stuff. You can see that big water pump. You've got your Surge Guard power protection system, and then your AquaHot panels back here. And I see service January 13th of 25 here on this filter for the AquaHot system. And it's such a striking paint job, just in the different lights, the way the silvers and all the different colors hit, just a very identifiable coach. I love the small, thin white pinstripes here. Remind me of some of the Liberty Coach Dean Laux paint jobs down there. Here's the other side of the full pass-through bay with a power slide tray that goes out the other way. Then we have a switch on the inside of this bay door that we could bring out this tray both ways. And this is gonna make it much easier to access this bay if you don't want to crouch down below this slide room. But the slide room is still pretty high off the ground, which makes it pretty easy to open and close these bay doors. Now this is gonna be the other side of that full bay. I love having that big full pass-through area with nothing in the way if you wanna load stuff in there. And then up front is gonna be the house battery bank, December of 2021 date codes on those batteries. And then in this front bay, we can fill up that 200-gallon diesel fuel tank up here, and then we've got a little storage below that as well. Now here, we've got a power window for the driver's cockpit area, and then below that is gonna be another storage bay. And then here we have a switch where we can bring out the 12.5 kW diesel Onan generator. Here we've got easy access to that. It looks like it's only got 905 hours on it. So with only 31,000 miles and 900 hours on the generator, this coach is barely broken in. And I've got to compliment how good the lighting looks on the front end of this coach. Foretravel just has a very identifiable look to it, really in their own class. But as beautiful as the exterior of this coach is, this is the nicest Foretravel IH I've ever seen, especially on the interior. Let's take a look inside, and immediately we're gonna see indirect lighting, a fully upholstered wall panel, beautiful tile entryway with a much more wide entryway than we're gonna see in a lot of the other motorhomes out there. So when you're bringing in groceries, you've got a lot of room. We've got our light switches right here when we go into the door. Beautiful dashboard here, but come on inside. I have been in a lot of coaches, and I have to say that Foretravel knocked it out of the park with this show coach back in 2018. And right away, I have to point out the condition of these captain's chairs. Both the passenger and driver's chair have this white perforated leather, and they even have a little cover right here on the armrest of the passenger's chair, just to keep it protected. It, tells a story of the current owners and how well they've cared for this coach. But these look and feel like brand new, and that perforated leather with the Foretravel embroidery give it a very high-end feel. These are massaging seats as well, and then your driver's seat is going to be an extremely comfortable air ride seat. The large digital dash, you have backup cameras, and this actually has a dash cam and then another camera here below the stereo that's actually recording and saving that to a DVR. Once that gets full, it will delete some of that footage, but really nice to have those cameras constantly recording if you do have an issue that comes up later. You've got the super easy to use shade controls right here at your fingertips. Here's your controls for your digital dash here. You have your Bendix blind spot monitoring system, your gear selector for your Allison 4000 transmission. It does have the trans retarder, and then it also has the comfort drive, so you can adjust your steering to the firmness that you prefer. And then you have USB outlets and a old 12-volt outlet, like the old cigarette lighter outlet right here. And then simple air conditioning controls. We can start the generator right here, lock and unlock our doors. But then when I fire this up, you'll see this digital dash. These cameras are very clear, and when I put the left turn signal on, the left side camera is going to come up on that digital dash. Same thing with the right turn signal and reverse. And then we also have another screen right here where we can look at our different cameras. It does have the 360 overhead camera as well. So, back in 2018, Foretravel was very ahead of their time to have that 360 overhead camera. We've got a wood grain steering wheel, our simple cruise control, very comfortable cockpit. And with all of the technology on this chassis, this is a very comfortable riding coach. This IH-45 on this Spartan chassis is going to be just one step below that Newell and Prevost territory. So to touch this much coach at this price point is an incredible value. And I'm mentioning Newell, but I've got to point out these light switches over here are identical to the light switches we saw in the Newell coaches of the same era. And we've got the touch panels back there that we can control the systems, but we also have all of these analog switches for our shades and our lights that the driver can easily access. This is the LV1 floor plan, and there's so many little details when you start to look closely at things. This slide room face has like an embossed leather with that two-tone on the slide room face. Also, you'll notice there's no cabinets above the dinette area, but when you look closely, we have accent lighting here, and then a small piece of wood grain that matches the cabinets below this leather wrap panel, where we have very bright puck lighting, and then a very nice size dinette. And typically your view is going to be on the patio side over here, so this is a great spot to enjoy a meal or get some work done and utilize that view out of this huge window. And cool style on the valance there with the slight orange accent marks. We've seen 3 late model coaches over that $2 million range that all had orange interior designs. There was a Liberty coach recently that had that Hermes orange couch We did a Newell coach that had that orange Fendi interior, and then the new Loki coach had some orange. A lot of the brand new 26 coaches are starting to bring those little orange accents. They really fit well together in this coach. We've got some orange accent pillows here, and just a couple slight little orange touches, which if someone wanted to reupholster this and take that out, they could, but I wouldn't change a thing in this coach. I think it was very tastefully remodeled. Now, the current owners did change one of the things in this coach. They did not like the original sofa, so they had this extremely high-end theater seating setup installed, and they actually just mentioned that they're gonna have this same setup put in their brand new Emerald luxury coach. It just shows how much they like this seating. We have the different cup holders with the different lighting, but then we can recline this back, and this is villa furniture, extremely comfortable. I could easily sit back and take a nap here. And then we've got some good storage here for maybe tablets or remotes. A very comfortable setup, very comfortable area here. And then we have these ottomans, and they said they were some of the first people to do these ottomans, and now we're seeing a lot of the new Foretravels with these. This could maybe be, swung over to your dinette if you wanted to, have a fifth wheel and maybe have someone sitting here and playing a card game or having a drink. And then we've got a second one of these that can be more of a coffee table. We can, set that right in between there. These can easily be moved around the coach, depending on how you're traveling. Now the floors in this coach, I've got to point out, if you look closely, it reminds me of some of the newer style tiles that we've seen with a very modern texture. These are all heated tile floors throughout the coach. And not only the floors have a cool design, but also the ceiling. You've got a lot of headroom here in the middle with more of that wood grain that matches the cabinets, and just a very cool design with the mirrors that really open it up, give it a large feeling in this coach. And then we've got a huge galley. This is gonna have all Viking appliances, and they were telling me that this finish was brought in from Italy, a very expensive finish here on the cabinets, and I love the two-tone with the matte. For them to do this in 2018, this was way ahead of the time. I think we've seen some late model Newell coaches with a similar face on their cabinets that are pushing on $3 million. Now, here in your galley, if you need a little more countertop space, you can extend this out. You'll notice that indirect lighting below the countertop. Viking microwave convection oven. We've got a pull-out pantry here, and when we open everything up in this coach, you can tell just how good of care the owners have taken of this coach. You can see all the cabinets are lined with carpets, just immaculate condition. Got some good drawer space here with these dividers to really utilize the space in each drawer. This Fisher Paykel dishwasher is not the knocking one. This actually has a locking control here, so you can lock and unlock your dishwasher. We've got the induction cooktop and outlets and USB ports, and a nice second level here with some cool decor and a beautiful tile backsplash back there, and then a sink cover that will match the countertops. And matte black hardware. This is a design cue that we've started to see in the last couple years in the $3 million coaches. Whoever did this design was way ahead of their times, back in 2018 for one of the last IH-45s. They just really knocked it out of the park with this one. We've got a cool accent inlay on this bulkhead wall that has a slight curve outside of that half bathroom. And then with the split galley, we've got this large area here with a huge Samsung TV. We do have the iPad that we can control a lot of the systems in the coach, blinds, lighting, shades, all of that good stuff. And then this area could be utilized a lot of different ways. There are outlets that will pop out of the countertops here, as well as USB ports. And then we've got some nice deep storage here. And then below this is gonna be where the electronic components are housed. And then here we have some more pantry space and some nice pull-out drawers. You'll notice the dovetail construction on these drawers that are next to this large Viking refrigerator freezer. And then we've got this simple little lock here so that it doesn't open up while you're going down the road or making a left turn. And you can see, the inside is extremely clean. I like that you can set your temperature here on the inside of the refrigerator door. This is very high-end appliances. And then we have a large pull-out freezer as well. And I almost forgot to mention, we've got some really good storage here, a good spot for pots and pans below the booth area, below both seats. Very large, deep storage there. And this does not have the TV that pops out of the ceiling like we've seen in some of the other Foretravels, but we do have a fixed Samsung TV, so 2 large fixed TVs in the salon. And overhead here, I'll show you some of the controls in this coach. We've got the HWH slide room controls here that have the pneumatic air seals. So when we're putting these slide rooms in and out, that slide room will deflate, and then the room can run in or out, and then it will inflate to create a seal. So that's gonna really help keep the climate more stable. It's gonna keep noises out of the coach. You know, the only other coaches that are doing that are gonna be the Newell coaches and the Prevos. And that makes such a big difference from, you know, road noise while you're going down the road, or if you're camping somewhere and, you know, someone's driving by in a diesel pusher motorhome. It's much quieter when you have those pneumatic air seals. Here we've got the Winegard Traveler and the satellite antenna. We have simple AC thermostats here for our climate control. And then over here is the storage. This is that awning control that I told you about that he took out and put down in the bay, and it's been working fine ever since. So he kind of re-engineered this a little bit. And then here's more storage with some nice key hooks. Good spot for maybe dog leashes or dog bags. And then just a little more storage here with that Wi-Fi Ranger housed up here. Coming back into the middle of the coach, this is a 1.5 bath coach, and I love the style of this half bathroom with the orange wallpaper and then the white tile backsplash that just ties in together so well with the two-tone cabinets. You do have a vent with a fan, good medicine cabinet space here with outlets, all lined with carpet, adjustable shelving, and everything just smells, feels clean in this coach. You can just really sense the pride of ownership. We've got a lot of the breaker panels housed here in the middle of the coach. We've got the simple analog light switches and a control for your water pump. Again, all matte black hardware, way ahead of its time. You know, even the toilet paper holder are in matte black, something we were not seeing. And even the piano hinge going into the half bathroom is done in matte black as well. So the designer of this was almost forecasting the future with the matte black hardware and the oranges. Who knew that the $3 million motorhomes were gonna have these same interior design cues about 6 years later. And then here we have a vented door for the Bosch stackable washer and dryer. There's a Dirt Devil hookup for your central vac system there if you wanna plug in one of those hoses we saw down in the bay and maybe vacuum out your couch cushions. You're all set up for that. And then it's also got the central vac where you can just kick that open and it will vacuum everything up. Now, coming back here into the rear of the coach has such a nice feel. And right now we have the bed tilted in the up position. And the nice thing about this coach is when the slide rooms come in, we can tilt the bed down completely flat so that you can use it and sleep in it with the slide rooms in if you're just stopping for an overnight. Or if you want to be able to walk through the coach, you can tilt the bed in this more up position, and even with the slide rooms in, you're able to shimmy around the coach to get to the huge rear bathroom back here. Now, we've got a nice ceiling fan here. Again, beautiful indirect accent lighting in the ceiling with some nice mirrors. And this bed is vibrating and massaging, and you've got the 2 sides. So if your partner wants to stay up a little bit late watching TV and you want to, put your bed down, you can control each side independently. And then there is a little bit of storage overhead here, all lined with carpet, super clean. But I like the way they tucked it back here so that when you are laying down, you don't have real deep cabinets overhead. And again, nice indirect lighting and that accent piece of woodwork and a lot of cool materials that really tie in together well. I mean, there's indirect lighting around the side here, indirect lighting inside, just a lot of cool different little lighting touches. We do have a TV on a televator, and we can press a button right here, but we also have another button for the pocket door. If I want to close off the rear suite, And if for some reason this pneumatic air door wasn't working, there's a little emergency switch right here where it will disconnect that air, and then you can manually open your doors. Now, there's a TV on a lift where we can just press this button and then it'll come up. That's a one touch, and you can see that the top of it matches the countertop. So when that goes down, it's hard to even tell that there is a TV there, but you have a very large Samsung TV in the rear bedroom. And then we're gonna have some storage on both sides with adjustable shelving, and then some good drawer space here as well on both sides. And I really like the way they broke it up with the two-tone cabinets with the matte wood below and then more of that high gloss wood grain up top. Now, coming into the rear of the coach, I want to point out this wall is fully upholstered from floor to ceiling, so Foretravel is not skipping on any details. But then we have this wide opening into this huge rear bathroom, and this is where this floor plan really shines. If you want to close that bedroom door, you have this huge rear suite that kind of flows from your bedroom into your bathroom. I mean, I can almost do a cartwheel or a handstand here, maybe knock out a little yoga lesson back here. You've got so much space. But then you've got the two sinks here in the rear of the coach with the multi-level countertop space. And this backsplash here reminds me a little bit of a recent $3 million Prevost we saw. Palisades has a little bit of that similar design cue. And one of my favorite parts about this coach is the huge closet over here. So we have a full-length mirror, but then behind that, we've got a huge closet. You can see a nice inlay on that closet door. And this is very well lit. You've got the double hanging space. And then if we could swing around over this way, you'll be able to see a safe hidden down there as well. It's a huge rear closet. When you look at that double hanging space here, that's got to be at least 4 feet, 5 feet. So you're looking at 8 to 10 feet of hanging space all in this closet. And then there's an extra leaf right here as well for your dinette. I'll point out again, matte black hardware here, just design cues you were not seeing in 18. Matte black towel holder. And then we've got some very deep medicine cabinet space. And then I like this little pull-out pantry where it's double-sided, where you have a little bit of storage on both sides. So that's split down the middle. And then you're gonna have some more storage below each sink. And then another place this coach really shines is this large rear shower where you can sit back and relax. You've got a nice seat here. And again, a cool tile inlay that reminds me a little bit of that brand new $3 million Prevost Featherlight we recently saw. And again, matte black hardware. You've got tons of room here in your rear shower. And another huge advantage of this coach is it has an emergency egress door. You know, super important option in case of an emergency, but also if you wanted to load stuff up through that emergency egress door, you can. And then I like that you have your toilet in its own water closet tucked out of the way, so it's got its own room. You've got your privacy back here. There is a vent with a fan here, a power shade here. You even have accent lighting back here. And again, a piano hinge. Just so many little details that show how overbuilt this Foretravel is. If you want to become the next owner of the nicest Foretravel IH-45 I've ever seen, this coach is currently available by a private owner here in Ocala, Florida. And they originally had this coach listed for $559,000 on RV Trader. And I talked them down to giving you guys a deal for this video for $499,000. So to touch this nice with this low of miles of a coach, this is a great opportunity, especially for any Foretravel enthusiasts out there. I'm gonna leave the owner's information in the description below. And as long as this coach is available, you can get that info in the description below. And there are very few pre-owned motor coaches on the market that have been cared for like this, stored indoors, one owner, low miles. And we usually don't make videos like this for private owners, but on specific coaches like this that really have a story that I feel is worth sharing on the channel, we do make exceptions. So if you do have a coach like this that has a really cool story that deserves a video like this, that is something we will entertain doing for a fee. Obviously, you can reach out to me through the different social media platforms. You can message me, or you can always book a consult call on my website, rvingwithandrewsteele.com, to talk more about that. But we greatly appreciate the owner of this coach for the opportunity to come and film this beautiful coach today, and a huge congratulations to them on the purchase of their new Prevost Emerald. And we're hoping that this video helps connect them with a new owner that's going to care for this coach the same way they did. So we really appreciate all of you out there subscribing and sharing and liking, and hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.